In the early 2000s, as the world grappled with the aftermath of 9/11, the U.S. government worked tirelessly to secure its borders, infrastructure, and sensitive information. It was a time of heightened fear and vigilance. Yet, even during this period of tightened security, a surprising vulnerability was exposed. Not by a state-sponsored actor or terrorist group, but by a single man with a basic home computer and an unyielding obsession. That man was Gary McKinnon, an unassuming 36-year-old from London. Gary's story is one of ambition, belief, and controversy. With no formal training in computer science, Gary managed to hack into 97 U.S. government systems over the course of 13 months, targeting the Army, Navy, Air Force, NASA, and the Department of Defense. It was an extraordinary feat that showcased both his ingenuity and the glaring weaknesses in what were supposed to be the world's most secure networks. But why did Gary do it? He wasn't motivated by financial gain, political ideology, or any desire to harm. Instead, he was searching for answers to one of humanity's most profound mysteries: the existence of extraterrestrial life. Gary was convinced that the U.S. government had recovered alien technology and was hiding advanced systems that could provide limitless, clean energy. This belief became his driving force, turning his curiosity into an obsession. Gary's fascination with UFOs began in his childhood. Growing up in the 1970s and 80s, he was captivated by stories of alien sightings and government cover-ups. Popular culture at the time was rife with speculation about Area 51, Roswell, and mysterious flying objects. For Gary, these weren't just entertaining tales, they were clues pointing to something real. As he grew older, his interest deepened, fueled by claims from whistleblowers and leaked government documents. When Gary began his hacking spree, he wasn't operating as part of a sophisticated network of cybercriminals. Armed with nothing more than a dial-up internet connection and free software, he exploited basic flaws in the U.S. government's cybersecurity. Many of the systems he accessed had weak or default passwords like admin or 1234. In some cases, there were no passwords at all. Once inside, Gary would explore the networks, looking for files, emails, and images that could confirm his theories. He claimed to have discovered extraordinary evidence. On one NASA server, he found an image showing a massive, cigar-shaped object floating above Earth. He believed this was an alien spacecraft. But before he could download the image, he was kicked out of the system. Gary also claimed to have stumbled upon a document listing non-terrestrial officers. To him, this was proof of a secret space program involving extraterrestrial collaboration. However, Gary didn't save or copy these files, and after his arrest, all traces of his discoveries were erased. Critics have often pointed to this lack of evidence to question his claims. While Gary's actions might seem like a harmless quest for truth, U.S. authorities saw them differently. Prosecutors accused him of causing extensive damage. According to their claims, he deleted critical system files, disrupted military operations, and even shut down networks at the Washington, D.C. Army headquarters for an entire day. The financial cost of his hacking spree was estimated at $700,000. In March 2002, Gary's digital footprint caught up with him. British authorities, working in cooperation with U.S. investigators, arrested him at his London home. At first, Gary thought he was facing minor charges in the UK, but soon, the U.S. government intervened, seeking his extradition to stand trial in an American court. The extradition request triggered a legal battle that would last over a decade. If convicted in the United States, Gary faced up to 60 years in prison. The prospect of spending the rest of his life behind bars in a foreign country was devastating. His family and legal team launched a public campaign, arguing that Gary's actions, while illegal, did not justify such a severe punishment. One of the turning points in Gary's case was his diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism. His defense team argued that this condition explained much of his behavior. People with Asperger's often have intense, singular interests and struggle with understanding the social consequences of their actions. Gary's hacking wasn't malicious, they claim. It was the result of a fixation on UFOs and a literal interpretation of his mission to uncover the truth. The revelation of his condition garnered significant public support. Politicians, human rights groups, and celebrities rallied behind him, arguing that extradition would be inhumane. Gary himself admitted that the pressure of the legal battle took took a severe toll on his mental health, leading to depression and thoughts of suicide. Beyond Gary's personal struggles, his case highlighted broader issues about cybersecurity and international law. The vulnerabilities he exploited exposed glaring flaws in U.S. government systems, raising questions about how such critical networks were left unprotected. His actions also fueled debates about the balance of power in the UK-US extradition treaty. Critics argued that the treaty was one-sided, making it too easy for the U.S. to demand extraditions without presenting substantial evidence in British courts. In October 2012, after years of delays, protests, and legal wrangling, UK Home Secretary Theresa May announced her decision. She blocked Gary's extradition, citing his fragile mental health and the risk of suicide if he were sent to the U.S. This decision was a relief for Gary and his supporters, but it also sparked controversy. Some viewed it as a victory for human rights, while others saw it as a failure to hold a hacker accountable for his actions. Gary's life after the case has been quieter, though the shadow of his ordeal lingers. He was never formally charged in the UK, as authorities cited insufficient evidence. However, he was advised to avoid traveling abroad, as the possibility of extradition still looms. Today, Gary runs a small business and has returned to his passion for music, but he remains a symbol of one of the most contentious hacking cases in history. The story of Gary McKinnon raises important questions about morality, justice, and the limits of the law. Was he a reckless hacker who endangered national security, or a modern-day whistleblower driven by a noble cause? His case underscores the need for governments to strike a balance between protecting sensitive information and addressing the unique circumstances of individuals caught in the web of international law. As for Gary's quest for the truth about UFOs, the mystery remains unsolved. His story reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge, no matter how well-intentioned, can sometimes lead to unintended consequences. In the end, Gary McKinnon became both a cautionary tale and a lightning rod for debates about hacking, justice, and the secrets that governments keep.